the Am I Doing It Right podcast,
Has
Katie.
it really been 13 episodes?
This is episode 13.
People have been listening to us still for 13 episodes.
I have no idea if anyone's listening. I haven't checked the numbers. For all I know, we're not even published. But this is the 13th episode we've released. Shout out to us.
High five.
Is it lucky? Is it unlucky? We'll find out. I left you hanging. I'm sorry. Pow! There we go.
Thank
Nice.
you.
High five. Remember to follow us across all social media platforms. The Am I Doing It Right pod. Our most recent posts were from Chandler at the zoo on last week's episode
Yes.
we told you about. Thank you, Katie, for getting those posted up. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Am I Doing It Right pod across all social media platforms. And, of course, the announcement we made on our last episode. So as you're listening to this one, it is this Sunday.
This upcoming Sunday, which is crazy.
Which, by the way, Memorial Day weekend.
Even crazier. And then the weekend after that, we'll probably be out of commission. We'll probably miss an episode. Sorry ahead of time because we're going to go to a wedding.
We will record ahead of time. Trust me. We will get the content must come out. But we so this upcoming Sunday, as you're listening to this, make plans for this upcoming Sunday to be at the all-new Team Cocktail Store, downtown Lee Summit, right there on 3rd Street, close to the train station, close to the tap house, where we will be recording our podcast for the first time. We're taking it out of the basement.
We are.
On the road to downtown Lee Summit. Let's have a day. Hope to see everyone there.
I'm so excited for this because, first off, Lindsay has the cutest clothes ever, softest t-shirts, and I feel like we're really, like, these past couple days, we really had a really nice 80-degree days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's starting to feel like summer.
Yeah.
I found a margarita mix. It's going to be a tequila summer. I'm ready for it.
We need to dive into that at some point. Let's go.
Ready. So, and honestly, I just feel like Team Cocktail has everything you need for the perfect summer. For clothes, for boating, swimsuit covers, hats, literally everything.
There may or may not be, I may have read on their, they created a Facebook event for it because they are pros. They've set up like over 100 Facebook events already. So they created an event for it. And I may have heard that the second half of their name there, the second word in their name, those cocktails may be a-flowing in downtown LS.
I mean,
there. So,
let's go.
something tells me we might have it. It's cool how our relationship started with them. So that company is just a small locally owned company in Kansas City. The owner is Lindsay and her longtime mate Nate.
You're so dumb.
Anyway, I mean they've been together forever, and this is a company that was started by Lindsay's family, and so and obviously Nate helps out a lot with it now, but. I'll never forget the story of how we met. So I had moved to Kansas City. I was 2 weeks in to the radio job in Kansas City. For those of you who remember, who listened to my former radio station, I actually started there as an afternoon host. I would be on from 2 o'clock till 7 o'clock, and that's where I was introduced to Kansas City as an afternoon host before moving to the morning show about 9 months later. But it was during that time, I was 2 weeks in, and they sent me and our dear friend Allie, who now is who, by the way, shout out to her.
She's doing middays on the point.
Yeah, 99.7 The Point. She's on there killing it every midday, just like it was like 10 to 3, 10 to 2. Allie, whatever you're doing, you're killing it.
It's like, I think it's like 10 to 3, yeah.
Love it. Has she social media'd?
I believe she has.
Can you double check that?
Yeah, I will.
Because we don't need to be throwing her business out there. But anyway, if you're a big fan of like 90s music to today, our buddy Allie, who, Katie, you and I knew ever since we lived in Columbia. She lived in Columbia at the same time that we did some radio stuff. And she's the one that got me hired out here in Kansas City with a recommendation. And did she make her social media post?
She sure did. We can tell that story too.
Let's go.
So our good friend Allie, very excited. They're having another baby. That is the wrong button.
That's the one I wanted. Sorry, Allie. That's my bad.
She's due in September. I know she's very excited about it. It was funny because a couple weeks ago, she went, like, we haven't gone to lunch together. So we're like, we got to get together.
She's moved up to the Northland. She used to live close to us in Lee Summit, but now she's all the way up in the Northland. And she's waddling around with another child bearing in her belly, and so we don't see her a lot anymore.
Well, it's just funny because she has a daughter who is roughly about, I want to say 9 months older than Chandler.
8 months.
8 months, yeah. So we haven't gotten together in a while, so I'm like, Allie, let's all get together. She decided to. We went to Cheesecake Factory.
Of course you did.
And I just had a feeling. I'm like, I have a feeling she's got big news to tell me. And then she calls me. She goes, hey, Andrew, her husband was coming. I'm like, okay, yeah, great. So it's just the three of us. Show up to the restaurant.
I thought it'd be girls' time.
Oh, no.
Was it a little odd? Kind of like, did you feel like the odd man out? Or I wonder if Andrew felt like the odd man out,
No, I mean, it was great conversation.
Okay.
We were all chatting. And I get there. They beat me there. And I look at her. And I was like, Allie, what are you trying to smuggle into this restaurant? The woman she has to be like about 5 months pregnant, I would say. Mm-hmm. I have to do the math, but right about that. Like she's pregnant. You can go check her Instagram. And I was just like, what? Excuse me. I think she announced it that day after she had told me. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, so they're very excited. They haven't said the gender yet, and I still don't know it. Mm-hmm. But I have these gut feelings, and I'm like,
I don't think you should share it. I don't think you should share it. I don't think you should share it. Because
it's my guess.
If they want to keep it a secret and your gut feelings are usually accurate, I don't think that you should share it because it's their news to share, not yours. And if they did that to us, if we have a second one, I'd be pissed.
If it was a guess,
if they guessed right, I'd be mad.
So you'd be mad if somebody just said, oh, well, we don't know what we're having. We're not announcing it yet. And then if I said, okay, this is my guess. And then you said your guess. Oh, my hair just fell. But you would be mad. That would make you mad.
If they were wrong, I'd be like, you know what? Could you just shut up and let me just have this part? This is the difference. You and I had this discussion 2 weeks ago. I like surprises. And when I plan a surprise, I don't like when people ruin it.
All right. Then I won't say anything.
I feel like that's the polite thing to do.
All right. Moving on.
Congratulations to the Tuggles, you guys.
I'm so excited.
Hey, way to go.
I can't wait to
spoil
this baby.
We went to, we went through our infertility struggles, which we talked about a couple episodes. Not those two. Dang, old Fertile Myrtle over there. Jeez.
I'm just saying, I am so excited to spoil this baby. Allie, we all go way back.
Right, and which leads me back to kind of
our story.
The first story. Got a little sidetracked there. So 2016, I'm 2 weeks into the job at the radio station, and the gentleman who hired me, right, Mike Kennedy, he used to run the station. He sends Allie and I, all right, you two new guys, we are sending you all the way out to Manhattan, Kansas, because at the time, that's where the Kicker Country Stampede was held every year. It was out there at Tuttle Creek State Park. And it's then it moved to Topeka for a couple of years. Now it's actually out there in Bonner Springs at the amphitheater out there. But back when it was in Manhattan, I'm 2 weeks deep. And Mike says, head 2 hours west on I-70 and hang a right. I'm like, geez, all right, here we go. So that's like the only time I've ever been out there. I drove past K-State and I drove past the football stadium and everything, which is really cool to see. And we got out there and we drove at the time. The station had this huge... we had a regular radio station van, and then we had this mobile unit thing. It was almost like a short school bus, almost. And this was supposed to be the quote-unquote mobile studio. This event takes place in middle of June in the middle of Kansas.
Yeah.
It's toasty. And, of course, this old dumpster fire of a mobile unit, which actually broke down on the drive back to Kansas City days later, the air conditioner was absolutely fried. And so not only was it uncomfortable from a heat perspective, but it was actually unsafe. You didn't want to put your broadcast equipment in there because it could potentially overheat, malfunction, and cause permanent damage to your broadcast equipment. So we're like, uh-oh. And so we just noticed a couple RVs down is this rowdy group of people. Everyone's got a red Solo cup. They're all getting schmammed up, enjoying what you're supposed to do at the Kicker Country Stampede out there in Manhattan. And we kind of get to talking to them, and that's how we meet our friends Nate and Lindsay, who own this Team Cocktail store. You'll usually see them at most concert events like this. They usually have a booth set up.
Yeah.
And their store is all about fun T-shirts that are have
sayings on them.
My favorite is their company slogan is, we're a drinking company with a T-shirt problem. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that, right? In 2016, during that election campaign, Trump versus Clinton, it was Make America Drunk Again was a hilarious koozie they had put out. I think I bought 6 of them. Anyway, so their RV works great, and we said, and I just went on the spot. I had no authority to do it, but I'm like, I'll give your company a whole bunch of shout outs on the radio. We'll call it you'll be the sponsor of our mobile studio. Can we set our equipment up in your air conditioned unit? We'll bring artists on. We brought Cassidy Pope. Remember her? That ended up being my first ever interview on the radio station, and Chris Jansen.
Yep.
I remember we brought him on there as well for a conversation. And yeah, I would just say live from the Team Cocktail mobile studio. And I remember Mike texted me. He's like, Mike Kennedy texted me. He's like, Team, what? And I kind of had to tell him the story. I'm like, basically, I'm giving them plugs because we need air conditioning. And he's like, all right, I'm good with it. So shout out to Mike for being cool with that, because I just made that up on the spot. And from there, just ended up, our meeting with them was pretty much nothing but a 3-day party. I mean, we threw down.
You guys had so much fun. I was not there.
No,
for
you
this
weren't.
Party.
You hadn't moved to Kansas City. A lot of people don't know this story. They did kind of early on, but they forget. I moved to Kansas City in June of 2016 to start the radio job.
Yep.
Moved from Columbia, where you and I lived together. But you had a really good job in Columbia, and we weren't really comfortable from a financial standpoint of you moving to Kansas City until we could find you a job in Kansas City. So we were engaged at the time. Our engagement was 18 months. 9 of those months, half the length of our engagement, we lived in different cities.
We did. Well, and it wasn't even so much like financially. I think I just found a really good job that I loved. And I wanted to find a job that I was going to be equally as happy at. So,
yeah, we were picky, and we
were very picky.
Yeah, so you ended up, it was like almost the exact same job, just in Kansas City. It was pretty cool. So that's kind of just in a nutshell how we met. It was so much fun, and we just kind of never lost touch after that. And then we go, and then Katie, I want you to tell this story because you can do it better than I can. But as we go further along, as we dive deep into the story of these people, it's one of those things where you don't realize that these people who you just met have actually sort of been in your life before.
Oh my gosh.
Because you lived in Nashville, and kind of take it from there.
Yeah. So right after I graduated college, actually, even while I was in college, I was kind of commuting back and forth to Nashville. I was working for Sirius XM at the time. I was their intern. And I loved it. I was doing like all of CMA Fest, all of the big events, the award shows. It was a wild time. 23-year-old Katie had a great time. Let me tell you, she was a little wild.
It's okay.
But, come full circle, like you were saying, me and Lindsay kind of just got to talking, and Lindsay lived in Nashville as well for a little while. And we kind of came to find out, like, wait, you know so-and-so? Oh, wait, you know so-and-so? We probably passed each other, or were at similar events, or I saw the Teen Cocktail booth. I mean, I had already bought T-shirts from her. Had no idea. I mean, we knew all the same people. We just never actually were introduced to each other, or actually like kind of said, hey, I'm Katie. Hey, I'm Lindsay. And now come to find out we're all such tight friends, which is wild.
Can I bring up your friend Casey Joe for a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Because
KJB.
So actually, Casey Joe she's a DJ on Apple Music now. Is she still on Apple Music?
I think she's living in Georgia now, but I think she's still doing that. Not 100% sure.
So Apple Music has their own like radio stations as well. Like if you have subscribed to Apple Music, you can have Apple Music Country. Like if you turn on that country radio station, she's actually a host on one of those. If you ever
she's like the midday show.
Yeah. So if you ever see old Casey Joe Biddy, give her. She was at our wedding. Every time I've talked, obviously you're closer to her than I am, but every time I've talked to her, it's been wonderful. And I kind of put it all together when Casey Joe, you were both interns at Sirius XM in Nashville at the same time.
No, I was before her and she was after me.
Oh, you didn't actually work together?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
We knew each other.
But you had both worked there, and then when we met our friends at Team Cocktail, she was working for Lindsay at Team Cocktail.
Yes,
so this
Nashville.
whole full circle crazy moment comes together. I mean, it was
wild.
I have a fun story about them too. So Nate, the other half of this wonderful couple, who I've gotten to know and become very good friends with, I was telling him a story. We were talking about just like my radio history, and way back in 06, my first job ever, 1079 The Coyote in Lebanon, Missouri, right? I mean, I'm 19 years old. They send me to my very first concert, and it's at the Mosque Theater in Springfield, Missouri. Now, from my studios, it was about a 50-mile drive because Lebanon's the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But when you get to Springfield, Mosque Theater, so Springfield, Missouri, not the biggest town by any means, but they were featuring, there was a concert there that night. I think it was like a CMT kind of concert, because CMT does, they'll do like, a new artist tour.
Yeah.
Brand new artists. We're helping sending them out on the road, and we want you to come see these artists at a very reasonable price in these smaller venues before they become megastars. And boy, did CMT nail this, because at that 2006 show at the Mosque Theater was opener Miranda Lambert with headliner Jason Aldean.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? In '06 in Springfield. It was such a cool show. I got to meet them both. I'm 19. I'm good, putting pictures on my MySpace page with Jason Aldean and Miranda Lambert.
I love it.
And here's the really cool part of that. Years later, I'm talking about this concert, and I'm talking with Nate about it. And he's like, was that at the Mosque Theater? And I'm like, well... He's like, but it was Aldean and Miranda Lambert in '06 in Springfield. And I'm like, I don't think they did multiple shows at multiple venues. It has to be that show. Nate has a son, Jackson, who's well off starting his own life. He's in his early 20s now. But he tells me, dude, I was at that show. And I'm like, there's no way. He's like, no, I remember I was up front and I had Jack, his son, with him as a 2 or 3 year old
child. Yeah.
Maybe a little older than that, but like before the show started, just like had him set him up on the stage, like just lifted him up on the seat on the stage to kind of set him down right there for a little bit so he could give his arms a break, I guess. But I'm like, holy cow, who knew that 10 years later we would meet in Kansas City and become pals, and like 10 years ago we happened to be at the same show in Springfield, Missouri at some random theater. I hope when this life is over, right? And we're up in the clouds hanging out with our Lord and Savior, I hope one of the things that God or the angels lets us do is kind of watch a highlight reel of our life, because it would be cool to look back at that moment and see myself and see my friend who I didn't know would be my friend 10 years later. Like, I really hope that's part of the experience of heaven, is just getting to look back on all the cool moments of your life. Now, some people speculate that another thing you might have to go through in order to get through the pearly gates is you have to like sit with God or sit with Jesus and watch all the bad things you did in your life. And I'm like, could you imagine how uncomfortable that would be? But just to like maybe humble you a little bit. You're like, all right. But I don't know. I just think, how cool would that be, is if after this life you go up to heaven and you get to watch like really cool highlights and how different people in your life maybe were in your life even before you realize it. That would just be such a cool thing. Like, I hope that happens when I'm gone from this planet.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all 6 degrees of separation, and I just think once you find good people, that are in your life, you keep those good people because you want to keep that positive energy around, and I think, one of the other things, I mean, this is something you just did on Sunday. Like, people are listening to us on Sunday. You emceed a charity event this morning because of a connection that our friends Nate and Lindsay made.
Oh, yes. The MGA 5K benefiting the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation. It was fun to get out there. I actually posted on my Instagram story.
It was a beautiful day.
It was awesome. That morning I posted on my Instagram story and I was like, wow, I didn't realize how long it's been since I've woken up early to put my mouth behind a microphone.
Right?
Whoops. Probably could have worded that better now that I say that out again. Geez, that kind of sounds gross. But anyway... so much fun. We do that every year. It's every May, Town Center Plaza in Leawood. Thank you to, we had a couple people come up and say hi and shake a few hands, and it was very awesome.
Chandler got to meet her first horse. It was a great day.
It was a pony. It wasn't a horse.
Okay. She was so excited.
There was a guy there.
It's over for you. I just want you to know.
There was a guy there who had a dog that was bigger than that pony.
I know.
I'm like, who has a dog that big?
A Great Dane. It was a miniature pony. Like,
that thing was
they're
monstrous,
small.
man. But I like people brought. There's one woman out there. She let me pet her bulldog. She had this bulldog, this little meatball bulldog tongue hanging out.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just giving him chin scratches and butt scratches, and he's like, it's the best.
I will say it was good to see you do something like that again, because it's like you were in your element. I was excited that Chandler got to see it when we pulled up. I opened up the trunk so I get the stroller out, and Chandler was still in her car seat. And she heard your voice and she goes, "Daddy!"
Yeah.
She like knew exactly like what was going on, and she was so excited. It was early. It was tough to get her out the door this morning. I'm not gonna lie, but
yeah, she's grouchy.
She was real grouchy, but it was nice. It was a beautiful morning. I'm glad we got to come out and see you, see some things, see some mini ponies, all for MGA.
Yeah. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, everybody at MGA for allowing me. I'm actually here. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify on the video, this is the shirt. I got a shirt I'm going to wear. Throw it up there real quick. It's cool. They make fun. And, of course, Team Cocktail made the shirts because, of course, they do.
So they're so soft.
Speaking of Chandler, let's be real. That's the number one reason people listen to this podcast anyway.
Wrong.
They just want to hear updates on Chandler. We are officially in SKS. We are officially in scraped knee summer.
We are, but I feel like that's such a sign of like a good summer. Like a kid had a good summer. She's coming home from daycare. They're playing outside. She's getting dirty. She's great. Like she fell like probably 3 or 4 times on the concrete just from running around. But and as a parent, I think it's interesting how you react to those things, right? Like, do you say, oh, like, do you run in like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Or you kind of just, you wait to see it. We're very much the wait and see how they react type thing, but it's hard because sometimes you're just like, oh, is that going to be the one that does them in?
I was going to say, you're like me, right? Like and then you want to run forward, but then you stop and you're like, no, I got to let her be tough. And then we just kind of say, what's up, champ? You okay? Like you have to act like it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
But it's crazy how well that works. Even if it does hurt, if we just look at her and we say, hey, not a big deal, right? She just kind of goes. She goes, yeah.
She thinks about it for a second.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's not afraid to tell us if she's not good.
Oh yeah,
right. She's definitely not.
At the MGA 5K today, she was running in between us, and she took a big spill, and that one hurt her. She
had to think for a second on that one for sure.
I had to pick her up, and she put her head on my shoulder.
But she is a rough and tumble baby. I'm already starting to see it, and she's a tough little kid. I mean, her knees are getting a little scraped up, so I think she probably should keep better eye because she's got to wear a dress soon. Like
poolside next year is going to be a big one, or poolside this summer is going to be big because next door neighbors have a pool. They always invite us over, mainly because of Chandler. But I have no shame in that game. That's fine as long as I get to go be by a pool. But her first big knee scrape happened there. The first one was a lot. She was like, "Wow!" But now she's had a couple under her belt. But I want you, because I wasn't there, I was out front, and you and our next door neighbor and Chandler were in the back of the pool, and you were playing on the stairs. Like, I shouldn't say playing. I mean, obviously being well supervised, but we're trying to get her used to the pool
adults,
water.
Yeah.
She's wearing she's wearing the life jacket and everything. We've taken all the proper precautions.
Oh yeah.
But apparently, we have this hellion daredevil whose only goal in life is to give her parents a freaking heart attack.
Yes. So she thinks these pool stairs are her own personal water slide. So
she thinks stairs are a slide.
Yeah, essentially. So what she'll do is she'll climb out and then she'll grab onto the bar and just walk in, but like try to make herself slip. So then she goes dun, 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 into the pool. Laughs hysterically every single time it happens. And she'll be, again? Yeah, okay. Turns around. But here's the thing. She's not afraid of the water. And so I think that's the other thing. We really need to get her in swimming lessons just for like water safety because she is not afraid of water. She will dunk her. She is 1.5 years old and this kid willingly dunks her head in the water.
And goes face first. And completely submerges her eyes, nose, and mouth completely underwater. And will immediately pull them back up and then go...
and have a big smile on her face. So, but she kicks like she's starting to like... This is like how you be in the water. You kick, you swim. Like, I feel like there's a little bit of a natural instinct there, right? So... and we need to get her in swim lessons. I don't know where, I don't know how, but we need to get her into something.
If only we were on some sort of multimedia platform where we could ask a question. I mean, at least 12 people listen to this thing, Katie. Hey, if you have any recommendations, and I think, because you've looked into it already, and what we're having trouble finding is somebody who will teach her at this young of an age. Because we're
this young of an age, and that's like not completely out, like who's in the area,
right?
Closer in the area.
We live in Lee Summit, Independence, Blue Springs-ish, Eastern Jackson County area is kind of where we would like to stay because
it's
that's
hard.
Where we live, right?
Yeah.
If you're listening,
we both work, so
if you're listening to this podcast in Overland Park right now, and the perfect thing for you was all the way in Lee Summit or Blue Springs, you'd be like, can I find something a little closer, please? Like that's what we're dealing with, or in the Northland, or wherever it may be. Yeah. So, any recommendations? Like
that'd
again,
be great.
Whatever platform you're listening on, if you're able to leave a comment, like if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're on Spotify, please leave us a comment. We'll make a Q&A thing there too, so we can get that figured out.
Yeah, she's taken like a fish to water, literally, no pun intended. Like
Dude, it's awesome.
I have no doubt in my mind she's going to catch up on it, like catch on super quickly. But I want her to develop just general water safety. Right. So she knows what to do if she falls in to
Correct.
float.
Yeah.
Or like get herself to the
Because
edge.
when she's in the life jacket, we're trying to get her to like, you can lean back and it's got that big back flap. So kind of like a pillow for your head if you lean back and just are calm. But she always wants to rotate and put her face in the water. And if we're not there, she would drown. And so we got to get better about that.
Yeah.
Hey, last thing before we get out of here in this, and thank you so much as always for listening to the Am I Doing It Right podcast. Remember, at Am I Doing It Right pod across all social platforms. And also remember, this upcoming Sunday, live Team Cocktail, downtown Lee Summit. We will take the podcast on the road. This upcoming Sunday at noon is when we start recording. So
on the dot.
Be there or be... Yeah, on the dot, my ass. We'll be like at least 15 minutes late. But so make sure you check that out. Last thing before we go, because this is one of the things I enjoy doing on the radio, and I realize we haven't done it that much on the podcast, because as you and I are now 13 episodes deep, you kind of run out of things to talk about. You don't just want to talk about the baby girl. You don't just want to talk about personal things. There are just things going on in the world that we can all relate to. I'm not going to talk about Travis and Taylor because everyone else talks about Travis and Taylor, so that's just kind of been beat to the ground. But I've noticed this on the internet, and I feel attacked.
I do too, because this is ridiculous.
Before I start the story, let me start by saying you hear a lot of the phrases about millennial versus Gen Z. You and I are millennials, but I did do the research. I researched for this episode of the podcast.
Thank you for doing that.
And it turns out the cutoff date for when you're either a millennial or a Gen Zer is the end of 1996. If you were born in 1996 or earlier, you are considered a millennial. If you were born 1997 or later, you are considered Gen Z. I'm sure anyone listening born right around that time, I'm sure there are a few...
on the cusp.
Right. I'm sure there's some 97ers who relate more to millennials, 96ers who relate more to Gen Z, yada, yada, yada. But for a few years now, and it's been the most thing, it happens on TikTok, and it doesn't pop up on my algorithm. I don't think it pops up on yours as well, but... basically, these Gen Zers are making fun of us. And I understand them making fun of us for, they say, they like having minimalist gray homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
What's
yeah.
your point?
Oh, well, all you want to do is sit at home and drink wine and eat pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't
want to get drunk in their own home? Then you don't have to go anywhere.
Exactly. Well, these Gen Zers, man,
don't make me put on real pants. That's why we bought this house.
Exactly. Anyways, but we're seeing a lot of these people. They attack us on TikTok, and now they say, now this is at the gym.
I know. Let's just bypass that one.
But what they did, they said this is kind of where it's the observation started. Gen Zers are pointing out that it's very easy to tell the difference between spotting a millennial or a Gen Zer based on one simple thing, and it's the kind of socks they wear.
And this is so stupid.
It's stupid because I have old grandpas and grandmas who wear socks the way Gen Zers do now.
Yeah.
You think we're old for wearing ankle socks? 90-year-olds wear socks the way you do, Gen Zers. So you're calling me old? No, you're following the trend of 90-year-olds.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, no, you're not morons.
Next thing you know, they'll be wearing their pants up to their nipples.
Right, you'll be wearing suspenders and what are you talking about? Thick Coke bottle glasses? No, they are saying that millennials wear ankle socks, but then if you're born after 1997, they're going back to the crew socks. The crew socks, they don't even go halfway up to the calf, but just kind of like a quarter way up the shin.
Yeah.
Or sometimes taller, but but if you're wearing ankle socks that you can either barely see or are completely hidden by the shoe, these people born 1997 or after apparently are looking at us and say, ha ha ha, you old fart. And it's who wears and I hope if you are a Gen Zer, please understand that, and I think this is kind of a circle of life thing. I think the next generation after Gen Z will then probably look at their socks pulled ridiculously high up their legs and go, that's dumb. I want to show off my legs, so I'm going to go short socks. It's just like in every other generation thing, I think, is what's happening here.
I just don't understand it, to be honest. First off, your tan lines are going to be awful.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I have a almost 21-year-old brother, so he falls into that Gen Z category.
And his socks
are super high.
And he looks... I don't want to bash him because he's my brother-in-law and I got a lot of love.
Do you want to call him?
No. But I
tell
think
him to his face.
But dude, I think to me, it looks like he's intentionally trying to dress like an old man. It looks like he's purposely trying to look silly, like he's trying to make a joke. Like when I see that socks pulled up that high, I'm looking at him. I'm going, are you trying to be funny? Like, are you like purposely trying to look silly?
Yeah,
like, are you trying to make a girl laugh?
Why? Like, why do you do this? Like,
but it turns out it's because they actually Gen Zers believe that this looks good and that ankle socks look bad. Could you imagine wearing shorts and pulled up socks?
But look at how short their shorts are getting. It's like shorts.
That's coming back too, right?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Why?
So this is going to be for our video audience, but so it's like, yeah, as the I remember like back in middle school, high school, the long baggy shorts, basketball shorts, and the ankle socks were it. But now we've seen kind of the shorts go up, but also the socks go up. And now it's like you have to cover the bottom half of your calf and the top half of your thigh, but you want to leave that kneecap good and exposed. When I was in high school, if you were a boy and you had your shorts were shorter than your kneecaps, you were a douchebag.
Well, and I remember, so this reminds me of a story. So when you and I first started dating, we were going up to my mom's house and to visit. I think it was like for 4th of July weekend, probably. My mom lives on the Fox River in Chicago. So she's got a pool, boat, jet skis, all that good stuff. So we would spend a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
Before then, you and I had gone to like our complex pool or whatever, like your
apartment pool.
Yeah, the apartment pool. And so I was like, hey, how many pairs of swim trunks do you have? And you're like, 1. And I'm like, okay, we probably should get you more. We're going to be spending a lot of time outside, probably in the pool every day. You don't want to wear the same swim trunks every single day. And you're like, why not?
It's chlorine literally kills every germ imaginable. There's no reason not to wear the same swim trunks every day. I stand by this to this day.
Okay. So anyway, we're moving on. We go. I was like, let's just go and get you more. Show me what you got. And you show me your 1 pair. And it is like a Ralph Lauren pair that you probably literally have had for
15 years.
Since you were in high school, I would bet. Like it went down past your knees. And I'm like, oh my God, we are going right now to go buy you new swim trunks. And I remember we went to Kohl's in the mall in Columbia and I made you buy 2 more pairs. And there was 1 pair and you still have them.
The Nikes?
No, not the Nikes. The I don't know what brand they are, but they go above your knee. And you made such a huge deal because you held them up and you're like, these go above, I'm not wearing these. These look stupid. And I made you go into the dressing room and tried them on. And you're like, babe, hold on.
Well, I didn't have sexy legs in high school. I have great legs now. I mean, my legs are chicken, but they're toned.
I know, but it was so funny how adamant you were fighting me on it.
That's fair.
You were fighting me and fighting me.
Is it like those kind of rainbow striped ones?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I'll rock those today. We're headed poolside after we're done recording this.
Yeah. So it was just, it's funny. But like, with these Gen Zers, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I need Google Translate to talk to Aiden sometimes. Like I don't understand the words he's saying.
I understand the words. For me, I'm just like, how could you possibly think that looks good? But Gen Zers, don't be mad, but because I can see how. I also understand how when I was in high school looking at somebody 15 years older than me and what they were wearing, I would just be like, how in the world? Like, let's say, I mean, I was born in 86. So like if I'm in 2000 and I see somebody wearing what was popular in the 80s, like that, like those stonewashed, jeaned big old jackets.
Those are making a comeback. And you want to know what else is making a comeback too? Those Adidas tearaway jeans. Or not jeans, pants.
I'm cool with
snaps.
That.
No.
I like the ripping the pants off with the snaps.
In what scenario will you ever need to rip your pants off?
Poolside. You wear the pants over to the pool and then you just rip them off and then jump right in.
Absolutely
Cannonball.
not. You are Michael. You are almost 40 years old.
Keyword, almost.
You do not need to be ripping your pants off anywhere.
It's not. No, I don't. It's not a matter of need. It's a matter of want.
We like our neighbors. We don't want them to like say no. You
the
can't
neighbors
come
would
over
laugh.
anymore.
Our neighbors would laugh hysterically at that, and you know it. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, honey.
Tell me I'm wrong.
This is a conversation we need to probably. There's a lot you need to unpack.
Lost. Because you just lost. You just lost right there, and you know it. You know you just lost right there.
What color breakaway pants? Do you want a full-blown tracksuit? I feel like juicy tracksuits are
No, I don't need a full-blown tracksuit, but I'd go keep it classic, just black Adidas pants with the white stripes, and then
Do you want like juicy written across something written
No,
across the butt?
breakaway pants didn't have that. Those were like those.
Honey, I got a Cricut. We can make it happen. What do you want written across your butt? If this is what the route we're going, let's do it.
I would like a Killer Keller on the back, please.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Thank you for that.
I will put that at top of the priority list.
Gen Z also says that side parts in the hair and skinny jeans are also clear signs of millennialism. Can I tell you something else that's coming back that's got me ticked off? Cargo pants.
Yeah, that's bold.
And cargo shorts. What are you thinking? I was ridiculed, and rightfully so for that. They are unattractive. They're bulky. They're ugly.
Babe, this means your dad's on trend.
And he's not. At least not on purpose.
And also, do not attack me for my side part, number one. Number two, or my skinny jeans.
I didn't even realize you have a side part.
I have a side part.
It looks great.
Thank you.
You just got your hair done this week, too. You look hot.
Thank you.
Smacking your butt a little extra this week.
I'm telling you, like, if anybody ever comes after my skinny jeans, I wear high-waisted skinny jeans for a reason, all right? It's because the flare legs don't do it for me. I wear those bad boys for control, not style, not comfort. I have a baby. Nothing's where it used to be anymore, so we need to tie it all up.
Is that mainly like a women thing, or are they talking about men in skinny jeans, too?
I don't know. This is the first I hear about it, and I feel personally...
I mean, my jeans are like, I guess they're not normal fitting. I guess they are kind of skinny fitting, but like, dude, but go back and watch
boot cut.
Go back and watch an episode of Friends and go look at Chandler Bing, ironically, and like, look how baggy his stuff is. Like it looks like your purpose. It looks like you're wearing your dad's clothes to work or something.
That's what I'm saying. All that stuff is making a comeback. Like, I'm not down. There were those shirts also, like when I had growing up, it was like you bought it and it was one size. And it looked like it fit on a doll, and then you would just pull it apart and it would stretch and it have these little, like, it had this weird texture to it. You have no idea what I'm talking about. No. I think everybody else did. Every other girl had one.
Do you remember? You and I are 5 years apart. So do you remember Jinko jeans? Mm-hmm. Big parachute jeans.
Sure do.
Let's bring those back.
Let's not.
Well, because it's like, all right, Lainey Wilson, I'll see your bell bottoms and I'll raise you some Jinko jeans.
But that's she has different bell bottoms. They're like tighter up top and then they flare out.
I know. Like, I'm just saying that's the next step. Like, if we're gonna go bell bottoms, all right, let's go full on parachute pants.
No,
just take a pair.
That is so much fabric. What are you gonna do with it? There's no room for activities.
Hear me out. There's all the room for activities.
No.
So what you do is you take a pair of Jinko jeans, right? You go up in an airplane, and if your parachute doesn't deploy, no problem. You just make sure you're right side up, and all the air gets in your Jinko jeans. You can just parachute down safely back to Earth.
No, that's not how that works. Number one, you could probably.
Not only are they the coolest things ever, especially with your wallet chain attached to them, they could potentially be life-saving, is all I'm saying. Listen, Gen Z, you do you, but, just stay in your lane. Let us do us. You do you and look ridiculous, and we'll look on point with our clothes that fit and our normal socks.
Yeah.
What kind of style is Chandler going to have? What if she bashes me? I'm her dad. She's going to bash me for my fashion choices.
She's going to.
Oh, man.
She's going to say, Dad, Grandpa's more on trend than you are.
Talk to you next week.
Bye.